I can offer an understanding of Anishinaabe law as I've come to know it, and I'm still learning, because I think every person, and we know this, every person is continuously learning about what it is to live in the world. And I have elders that say Anishinaabe law is not a philosophy or a theory, it's a way of life. And so we practice that way of life and we learn from it. And to think to Anishinaabe law as something that we're born with, as a set of sacred or spiritual instructions that are given to us as we journey towards the earth, allows us then to see the world differently and learn from our natural environment. And so that creates, from this core of spiritual law, an outer layer of natural law. And that natural law is what we observe from looking at our other brothers and sisters that are part of creation. From there, we've developed this whole wealth of law over time. And it's a law that governs interactions amongst humans, and as well as other beings. And how do we manage all of those messy relationships? Building on all of that, and sometimes in response to a particular situation, we'll have what it is referred to as human law. And that's sometimes also talked about in the context of temporal law. So it's a law that comes in a particular form at a moment in time, given a particular context, and that is supported by that core of spiritual law, that understanding that comes from the natural world, the law that we've developed over time. And then we have a human response to a particular context and an ability to make decisions based on our protocols and our understanding of all of these levels of law that are ebbing and flowing and interacting with each other, so that we can have appropriate human responses and that we can communicate with each other about what those responsibilities and obligations are. That's the basic structure of Anishinaabe law. And when we think about water, as part of that, we have spiritual instructions relating to water. We see water's interaction in the natural environment and how other beings interact with water. And that means observing natural environment, seeing what's happening with the water itself, but other beings in creation, fish, frogs, snakes, trees that surround the water, rocks that hold the water line. We see the fluctuations in the high water mark by looking at those rocks. So all of those other beings are being responsive to the water. And for some reason, as humans, we sometimes think, well, water is this resource. It's either going to give us power through hydroelectric generation, or it's going to sustain us by being clean for us to drink. And we think of it as really fragmented resources. Article 25 of UNDRIP ensures that there's a protection of this longer-term relationship, this spiritual relationship between Indigenous people and their waters, lands, territories, in a way that allows for protection of that water or that land or that territory for future generations. So there are elements of that are found within UNDRIP, which is aiming to affirm the self-determination of Indigenous people around the world, in recognizing that special relationship that people have with lands and territories. And that includes that relationship with water, and to ensure that it can be preserved over time, and recognizing also the spiritual nature of it. So UNDRIP is not recognizing water as a resource to be owned or managed or controlled like most Western legal systems do, but is actually saying, as Indigenous people, there's something further to that relationship. There's something that is deeper that emanates from your relationship with water, and that you have a right to preserve and maintain that.